It's been a strange journey indeed. I'm compelled to say two things. Firstly, that this deck will reach those who are supposed to receive it. And two, that the work will be done when it's supposed to be done. That means this work and all the other work. When I follow my intuitive guidance, everything works out the way that it should. And the universe built this deck through me, and I have full faith and trust in the universe. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you, loving humans. The work, of course, is important to me, and the success of it would be a great pleasure, but the work and its successes don't seem to be the fateful lesson here. This has come in human relationships, and the relationship with myself. In all reality, it's not an easy deck. It requires that we do a lot of self-reflection. It isn't a conglomeration of positive affirmations that will uplift us and make us feel better. There's a ton of those out there, and something different was needed. This deck is not for the faint of heart, or for those who are easily triggered by their past. It's perfectly fine to be wherever you are on your journey. Those uplifting cards got me through more tears than a river can count, but they didn't go far enough. They don't go deep enough. These cards, the Portal Oracle, are about examination of the self, how we utilize the images, how we interpret the words, how we view the situation before and after meditation will change how we choose to deal with the situations at hand. And it might look messy or painful, because it can be, but it's worth the risk. It's worth it. Now that's a great selling spiel, right? And the thing is that we're only all responsible for ourselves. We are all empathetic. We are all narcissistic. We are all 1,000 labeled archetypes in a book of diagnosis somewhere. What is prescribed for one ailment might be the exact opposite than the prescription for something else. What one therapist is telling someone to do might be the opposite of what someone else's therapist is telling them to do. And when both strategies are applicable to the features of the ailments, but when they get together, they become even more adversely toxic. There could be a big bang boom. And it's because we're all in different places. We cannot diagnose someone else and successfully change our situation. That's not going to work. Others might not like it, might not understand, or see why we're making the changes that we are. And that's the number one lesson. We have to grow anyway. It's going to hurt. But does it hurt more than the thing that's pushing you to seek help? You might love that person or that job or that situation or that group. Is it good for you? Does it reciprocate justly? Does it fulfill you, support you, lift you up, nourish you? It should. Is it painful? Why? These are tough questions. And it's all about the stories, our roles in them. How are we predisposed to certain ideals and values based on the stories of our cultures? How do the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves change how we see ourselves? How does changing how we see ourselves change our culture? Can we heal through this? I try to stay away from trigger words or words that have a heavy associative value in the context of psychology and New Age rhetoric. Some, of course, had to be used, but the aim was to reform thought associations through the pictures. Using simple texts and loose associations allows us to build on the sublimination of the new thought. I have no want, need, or desire to direct a preferred outcome, as each are inherently individual to the reader and should always remain so. The reader is rebuilding themselves in their true form. And as such, a predictable, uniform outcome for all readers would be undesirable. We're all different. You do you, boo. You love you, you be you, you great. A story goes as told. The teller highlights the events. The winner or the loser could be the victor in merit or strength, or they could be lost in the folds and burnt at the stake. Some will see either as hero or martyr, depending on how they choose. How do you see yourself? What's your role? What's my tale? How'd I change it? How do I know this works? True story, I get a lot of shit because I give a lot of shit. I've put myself in situations where I was easy prey. What was obviously rotten to someone else looked adequately passable to my starvation. Any sustenance would do at that point. Time and again, I learned what not to eat. And from the perspective of an outsider, I might look stupid. And admittingly, I was kind of stupid. Enough not to know better, but not enough to not learn. So I kept feeding myself small doses of poison until I learned that no one can be immune to all of them. And somehow, I've survived. Somehow, I'm still standing, walking, dancing even. And it's crazy and weird. And at times I'm like, do I deserve this? Why me? But then, why not? There's something in my blood that fights the poison. There's something in my spirit that is fortified by its measure. There's a ratio of perspective. How much does each view weigh? How can a shift in perspective change the weight of it? Do we need to change the weight of it to balance the scale? I was trying to explain to my son that 180 pounds feels different to a person who used to weigh 300 pounds than it does to a person who weighs 180 pounds but wants to weigh 140. And how 180 pounds looks even different still to someone who weighs 140 but wants to increase their weight up to 180 pounds. All three people are at the same gym. All three people have a different relationship with the idea of being 180 pounds. Our progress looks different from theirs. We can only judge ourselves. We are strong because we worked to get here, and we deserve to be proud of ourselves. We did not make it to where we are by staying put. We kept walking. We knew there was a better way for us, and we went after it. And for some, that might be a specific job or a place that one's always dreamed of living. For us, it meant a place of safety where we could feel secure. It meant leaving people who we love who are dangerous to us. It meant being willing to try again because we are worth it. It meant learning new skills of real life hacks that will save your life in real time. It meant knowing when to hide and when to make a run for it. It meant therapy and counselors and courts and threats and cops and money and guns and terror and brain damage and trying again and again to climb out of the same situation, to have to leave again. I'm sorry, guys. I thought this one would be different. Each time, learning more about ourselves, our needs, our love, our defense. We are not victims. We are survivors. The place I come from rebuilt over and over until it was officially smashed. An unexpected conversation over a withheld file of all things. That last remnant of the self-destructive cord was a weird guy who thought that he might get one over on us, me and my light beam friend. Absolutely not. Grandpa's got our back. No worries. This may look messy, but you've got a built-in shadow for a reason. Go on and use it for good. Keep your work safe. Keep your friends safe. My friend might do what she wants in the future, but it'll be her choice. The cord to my contribution was cut by the spirit of my grandfathers denouncing that bullshit through me. And they laughed. Oh man, they were like rolling and cheersing their sweet jugs of moonshine. And a song to confirm played loudly from a motorcycle at the gas station across the street. It was the almighty JC. And he said, John, that's one of my grandpas, and my brother, and my cousin, and my uncle. But it wasn't them that was laughing. It was Palmer and Alec. And they said, John, go do my will. He said, go tell that long-tongued liar. Go tell that midnight rider. Tell that gambler, that rambler, that backbiter. Tell him God's going to cut him down. Well, you may throw your rock and hide your hand, working in the dark against your fellow man. But as sure as God made black and white, what's down in the dark will be brought to the light, and you can run on for a long time. But sooner or later, the gods are going to cut you down. Now, I'm starting to see myself in a different way. The cord-cutting ceremony was not the celebratory ensemble of delight and sparkles that I might have envisioned for a launching of a boat. It was instead words slapping at the knives of a clumsy handler before it could be sunk into any vital organs. A quick flash of my shadow. A glimpse of my defense arsenal. The darkness that is behind my light. It is there, and it is real, and it is how I have survived. It is what kept my children safe. It is to be feared. I have feared even wielding it because I know the power of its force, and it isn't something I want to mess with. But my grandpas, on the other hand, they find it hilarious. They giggled as the little man slid away into his darkness, for he had had no idea of mine. I am no victim, nor will I ever be. It's just not me. I may mostly definitely call people out on their bullshit, and I will have enemies. That is the nature of the warrior. I do not start fights. I will defend myself. And being the bigger person doesn't imply that you negate all offensive and defensive measures. It only means knowing when to fight, when to compromise, and when to withdraw. True courage doesn't attack. Bravery means getting back up and trying again. What quality of success would there be if there was no failure to triumph over? What value would be the remedy if the poison hadn't been ingested? How much would we have suffered if we had stayed put, acquiesced, withdrew when we should have fought, if we'd have let others tell us how our story should go, or who our character is in it? If I'd had trust issues, I wouldn't keep trying. If I had self-esteem issues, I would have let them rule me. If I was stupid, I wouldn't have seen it or said anything. If I was worthless, they wouldn't bother coming after me. If I wasn't valuable, they wouldn't want to try to hide me and steal me. And if I was wrong, I wouldn't be threatening. I consider the adversity a development of character. I consider the pushback a compliment. I consider the efforts to quell me, bind me, vilify me, a testament to my authenticity and strength. I am no heroine, but neither am I a villain. I am no saint nor martyr. I am a stargazer who has learned to refine her wishes. Many parts of my life would have killed most people. Set them down, locked them in, crippled them, destroyed their legacy. Not me. Not yet. Not ever. I have wonderful children who are gifted. They are safe. They are loved. They are exceptional. And this is their story too. They are strong. We all live in the same house with my mom, and we are well. I have deep-rooted friendships from every period of my life. I have working relationships with healthy people that commence in respectful ways. Reciprocity is present. Gratitude is abundance. True success. Life will always be life. People will always be people. My story is not that of a lonesome loser who can't do anything right. That story would be a lie. Anyone who sees it that way is free to adjust their lens. Quite the contrary. Mine is a story of resilience. I've spent the last few years building an immunity to iocane powder. If this thing goes and the portals are open and people are able to walk through them, so be it. That's great. I will be humbled and surprised. But no matter what happens with that, I have been gifted the most amazing and beautiful epiphanies through this process. I've learned all kinds of stuff about people and groups and how they work. I've learned about the energies of the universe and how integrated and temperamental they are. I've learned about ancient history and science and art and symbols. And I've learned that I am a force to be reckoned with, and that I should definitely stop fighting myself. I've learned that I have everything I need, and that it's worth my protection. And I learned that I can write books and make videos and do all kinds of stuff I want to do. What might you learn to do if you give yourself the chance? If you tell yourself the right story about you. And there is so much I want to tell you. So many things to say. Things our ancestors want us to know. This is why they've led me through this briar patch, so I can lead others through too. Silly ancestors. They knew that I had to be born in a briar patch. They knew that I had to be able to handle the information that needs to be passed through. Who it's for, who to protect it from. Adjustments must be made. We all have gifts. Many people have been feeling a heightening of theirs. It's time to release the old baggage so that we may access our true potentials. In the past few years, I have been visited more and more often by spirits. And they tell me things, show me things, give me messages to pass along. They dip their nose in when I ask for help. And there are also messages that come from somewhere else. And some are good sources and some are not. And some just love us too much to leave. All are here to prepare us for change, and we mustn't be afraid. We need to be able to tell the difference. I could be someone else in this movement. The power of word is the power of man. I withdrew mine from many platforms because I will not lend my voice to the destruction of man guised as light. So much is misunderstood. The things I was saying are being twisted. Their story is not mine. I am not responsible for what others do, but I am responsible for myself. I have to acknowledge that the visions and messages delivered to me were done so with the highest good of all in mind. Any moment of doubt is reinforced by a physical pain. Any bit of warning, and I am redirected. There is something to this. What is it? Knowing isn't as important as listening. When I listen and I follow through, it all makes perfect sense in the end, even if it seems strange. I am alive. I am protected. I am safe. I am strong. I am not done yet. If the Kickstarter goes through, it would be amazing. But if it doesn't, it wouldn't be the worst thing that's happened in my life. Far from it. This deck has enlightened me to a beautifully gracious support, empowered the will of self-betterment, increased self-value and worth, restored my outlook on humanity, and aligned me with good people, all while reminding me of the power and strength and utility of my shadow. And the inner child rejoiced. She's free to play and dream all new wishes. This is my story. These are the images that have been drawn from it. It looks a lot different now than it used to. And everything looks a lot different now than it used to. And I'm seeing myself and my life exactly as I should. A little shadow, a little light, some sacred wishes, and a whole lot of shine. I hope this little bit helps inform the reason and purpose and benefit of working with cards like these. I hope that the project moves forward in this way. Gratitude isn't a big enough word to describe the peace your support has lent. Whether this is the portal for the portal, or the doorway is somewhere else, may we all keep moving forward, our steps traced back in time to ourselves. Thanks, you guys.